Hey, this is Max with the Guitar Center. We're here at NAMM 2026. We're hanging out at the Ernie Ball Music Man booth with our friend Jason Richardson. Jason, how you doing?
Great. How about you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Nice.
So you've got a pretty cool new guitar in hand. Tell us a little bit about it.
I like it. It's awesome.
It's awesome. Yeah, 8 strings.
Yep. I'm pretty much primarily a 7-string player. I have a 6-string model as well because, most people aren't 7-string players. So, because, Music Man didn't come out with an 8-string until the Majesty, like a few years ago. And until then, I was having to play like other companies' 8-string models. So it's just really awesome to finally have like my own, like with my signature on the back of it, which is still a strange concept to me. Like growing up being a huge Dream Theater fan, buying my first Music Man when I was 14 after saving up for over a year. I do really like the fan on this. This is the most comfortable feeling 8-string. I'm biased, obviously, but in my honest opinion, like I've never played a more stable and just like rock solid feeling 8-string other than the Music Man's. The fan is very natural. The pivot on it, like for the angle, I think the straight fret is like on the 12th or something like that. Just the actual like angle of like where the pivot is from your elbow, it just feels so seamless. Like you don't have to fight it, like literally at all.
Nice. So tell us a little bit about the development process. Do you go up to the factory in San Luis Obispo? Do you just get samples sent to you? How does it work?
For this one, no. Initially, though, like when we first designed the original model, like pre-COVID, yes, we did go up to the factory, had a like meeting, and everyone's like drawing and like shooting ideas back and forth. But this one, they sent me a proto of it, and it was just home run first try. We just added an extra string on there, and that was pretty much it. Yeah, it was pretty seamless. It was pretty easy.
So we've been talking about your 8-string, Music Man models, but there's also another instrument right to my right over here. I believe we got a 7-string Sterling, yeah?
This is the new Sterling by Music Man that just came out this year as well. Just a more affordable price point, lower price point. I love these guitars, and I think the gloss was a really good move. Like when they sent it to me to check out in person for the first time, I was like, oh wow, that looks like much fancier just because of the gloss. And there's nothing wrong with matte. I like matte as well. But just, I don't know, something about the shiny like aesthetic of this one just made it like just level up, in my opinion.
So how did you spec this out compared to your Music Man stuff?
Pretty much just straight derived everything from it. I think the only change that actually, like when I got the first proto of the Sterling was, I think the whammy bar angle just needed to change, and that was literally it. The very first one was just like bumping the knob or something, and then they just changed the angle of it, and then that was the only thing, like only note or critique I really had at all. And other than that, it's pretty much exactly the same, it's literally exactly the same as the Music Man, just at a lower price point.
So when we were talking before the camera started rolling, you said you're starting to get into a little more scoring, a little more maybe video game work. Yes. Tell us about how that might change your perspective for music making. And in that, when do you reach for a 7-string guitar? When do you reach for a 8-string guitar? Maybe a 6-string guitar? Tell us, how does that all work for you?
Yeah. Right now, I've finally got like, dipping my toes in it, foot in the door. And for the most part right now, currently at least, it's just, I don't want to say producing because that might not necessarily be the right term, but like someone else will write the whole thing. And then, but it's all like, virtual instruments and stuff like that. So when it comes time to do the final, I get hired or come in to like retrack everything for real, like actual real guitar parts. One of the things that I just did was, it's like almost like a 2-minute piece. And then I just learned all the guitar parts like on the spot and retracked all of them, put like my own flair, a little bit of my own flair. And like, because everyone's hands, they sound different. So that's for the most part what's happening right now. It's a handful of projects. Literally actually on my drive down here to NAMM, my one friend threw my name in the hat. Shout out Hal. He's a great human being. He does lots of percussion stuff, like on like all the AAA movies and things like that. And somebody needed a guitar solo for something they're working on, and literally on my drive down here, he's like, "Deadline's super tight. Do you have an interface at NAMM that you could record it with?" I was like, "Can I do it Sunday when I get back home?" He's like, "Yeah, that should be fine. I got to turn it in Monday."
How prescriptive is that process? How much room do you have within that? Not just musically, obviously, what you're playing, but just sonically and all that.
Well, I always provide DIs, obviously, because, you want to make sure that it's exactly how they want it to be, like the main composer. But I also always send like my own tone, like my own mixed version of a tone that I would prefer and I like with like, the effects, reverb, delay, all that kind of stuff as well. But you also got to provide the DI just in case it's not exactly like what they're looking for, so they can hone it in to what it needs to be.
So, you know, obviously a very different type of session work. Musically, how does that challenge you? How does it, you know, taking someone else's vision in that regard and building on it?
I mean, I definitely like putting a different hat on and like serving what I'm being, you know, hired to do. It's really cool to like just think about it like completely differently. And also like, you know, collaborating in ways like that. I'm not going to think of things that they would and vice versa as well. So it's really cool to see all of that, you know, come to fruition by the end product.
Are you usually just, you know, in separate rooms? You're getting together in a room, you know, how
emails, files and stuff like that for the most part. Every now and then, you know, you do get in person. Like I wrote that Falling Reverse song, Ronald, that came out in 2024, I think, which is, wow. It's like almost 2 years ago. That's messed up. That was quick, but we've been working on more stuff together now too. Have started like quite a few songs, but yeah, every now and then, you know, I go meet up with Ronnie and do some stuff together in person, just see what happens. Now we started a new track together. Hopefully that ends up panning out well. I like how it's coming out, so hopefully that'll get released at some point. It seems to be kind of like where just like my journey's leading now that I'm not like tied down to like a specific band anymore. Just hired gun stuff and a lot of writing and producing for other people now, which is sick. Seems to be, like, I'm cool with it. It's fun.
Keeps it fresh every day, I imagine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nice. Okay. So the finishes in these instruments, tell us a little bit about how you put those together.
Well, it's mostly the Buckeye Burl that does most of the work. Yeah. And that's one of my favorite things about my guitars is like not one, two are the same. Like everyone gets their own specifically unique version just because of the way that Buckeye Burl is, the maple cuts and stuff like that too. Like I have some that are like all bird's eye, some that are just like this, like a nice, like cool looking, kind of more tamed down flame. I'm a huge video game nerd, so like this whole arm is nothing but like it's like Zelda, Resident Evil, Duke Nukem, Doom, Luigi, Mario and Luigi, and then South Park, Stick of Truth. So like all the finishes are I just made it a theme of naming it after Zelda stuff. Like this one's Water Temple, which is like the most annoying level on Ocarina of Time on the N64. And then this one's Death Mountain, which is the volcano that the Gorons live in. And then Kokiri Forest.
Nice. Yeah, I remember talking to John a couple of years ago, John Petrucci. He said for him, sometimes the hardest thing about signature instruments is what the heck am I going to call the color?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. I think there was one that was just like named after, I can't remember. It was like a steak or something like that.
For John?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Hanu Blue. Yeah.
Do you remember which one I'm talking about? I can't. It was like named after like a steak or something.
There was a blue guitar. I know this because I grew up not far from him where he is on Long Island. On Long Island. Did I say it that way? I don't know. And it was called like Hanu Blue, and there's a restaurant named Blue Hanu there. And I said, is that named after that steakhouse? He said, yes, it is. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's that one. Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, it's probably pretty challenging. But these finishes aren't just for the 8 strings. These are for your 6 and 7 string models as well, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And we're expecting these not too long now for guitarcenter.com, right?
Yep.
Next couple months?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
early March, I believe.
Early March. Mm-hmm. We'll go with that. Jason, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. The guitars look great.
Thanks.
And now 8 strings. If you want to learn more about Jason's full line of Ernie Ball Music Man signature guitars, head to guitarcenter.com and stay tuned to our YouTube channel for all the latest new from NAMM.
6, 7.